Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Siheyuan. Awakening to the farm with people in disaster years, Chen Yan traveled to the world of courtyard houses. At the beginning, we encountered a major disaster year, awakening the portable farm. Chen Yan's family is not simple. Dad is the village branch secretary of the Chen family. There are 6 brothers on top who are just like Kong. Starting from the purchaser, the leader appreciates it, respect from workers, everyone in the neighborhood praises it. The beasts in the courtyard. Encountering Chen Yan is like being a person with your tail between your legs. Yi Zhonghai shed tears across the fence. Lu Haizhong looked at Chen Yan and dared to bow his head and shout for leadership. Yan Bugui's plan failed and he lost the rice instead. The Jia family avoided Chen Yan and left. The deaf old lady's grave grass is already 1 meter high. Silly pillar Su Damao is digging coal together in the northwest. No matter who it is, it can't stop Chen Yan from living a leisurely life in the fiery era. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Probationary Assessment, Chen Family's 7 Great Kings, Seeking. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In the spring of 1958. Comrade Chen Yan, I have reviewed your procurement situation in the past few months and have successfully completed the tasks assigned by the organization. The organization has recently conducted a series of assessments on you and determined that your assessment result is qualified. At this point, in a simple office in the logistics building of the Red Star Steel Rolling Plant, behind a row of mahogany tables sat 3 middle-aged people. Their expressions were serious, holding some reports from the factory in hand. Above them, hanging photos of the elderly, there is also a line of red and eye-catching big characters below. Everyone dedicates themselves, creating a better tomorrow together. On the other side of the table sat a standard figure, some skinny young people. Young people have very handsome faces, seems like movie stars of later generations, but there is an extra masculine aura. There is a spirit of progress and hard work in my eyes. This wolf-like gaze, this made the leaders sitting opposite very satisfied. You know, in this magnificent late 1950s, purchasing staff is not a simple industry. That requires hard work and learning to interact with various people. Not to mention the 4 or 9 city procurement, it is also very exaggerated in terms of danger. These leaders like these hardworking purchasers. I have achieved such success mainly due to the leadership and guidance of our logistics department. Since I graduated from vocational school, Director Sun has been teaching me the key points to pay attention to in procurement, and has provided guidance on all aspects of my life and work. Thank you for your feedback. In my future work, I will continue to maintain an enterprising spirit and strive to purchase more materials to ensure the logistics of our steel rolling plant. Upon hearing Chen Yan's words, Sun Kachang, who was sitting in the middle across from him, showed a slight smile at the corner of his mouth. You should know that the probation records of these employees are all to be submitted to the leadership for review. Chen Yan, this kid can do it. Director Sun raised the corners of his mouth slightly and said, Comrade Chen Yan not only implements the theory of the elderly in practice, but also pursues self-improvement and progress in ideology. Comrade Chen Yan, congratulations. You can now become a full-time employee. I hope you can continue to work hard, study hard, and work hard in your future work and life, contributing your own strength to the construction of our socialism. Chen Yan's eyes showed a hint of excitement, then he bowed back and said, Thank you, Chief Sun, and thank you to all the teachers. The middle-aged man next to Director Sun nodded and suddenly asked, Comrade Chen Yan, there is a great job opportunity in our branch recently that can directly qualify as a level 7 clerk. Do you want to give it a try? Director Sun was a bit unhappy when he heard these words. Sitting next to him was the leader in charge of procurement at the branch factory. He doesn't have much to say either. Chen Yan was momentarily stunned when he heard these words, then he shook his head and said, Director Wang, thank you for your interest. But I was brought out by Director Sun, and I still hope to stay at the headquarters to work. Deputy Director Wang didn't say much upon hearing this, although he is quite envious of Chen Yan's achievements over the past 6 months, but their mechanical branch also does not lack employees to enter the factory. That's right, it's still the most glorious for us working class. I remember Chen Yan, you graduated from a vocational school and started working directly in our factory. Back then, you had a rural household registration, but it wasn't until you arrived at the steel rolling mill that you changed your household registration. Chen Yan smiled and said, yes, our Red Star rolling mill is a passionate and vibrant large factory. I have always been grateful for the care and help from the factory and its leaders. When I just graduated, the factory provided me with a place to live, allowing me to contribute to our factory without any worries. Now it's time for me to contribute my youth to the steel rolling mill. Unless arranged by the organization, I personally don't want to leave the mill. Director Sun was very pleased to hear this. Looking left and right, he said, look, this is our excellent working class son. The steel rolling mill is your home. From now on, you will be an official member of our procurement department. You are a vocational school graduate. Graduating is a cadre position, and you are currently receiving a salary of level 26, 32.5 yuan, and a level 8 clerk. After becoming a full-time employee today, the salary will be at level 25, which is 37.5 yuan. We need to continue to work hard in the future. You should know that the leader has said that after working for 4 years, vocational school students and high school graduates can become clerk. Let's work hard. Chen Yan nodded and said, thank you for Director Sun's encouragement. I will continue to work hard. In the future, I will definitely purchase the best items in our system. Listen to this, several people laughed happily. This is how these years are, don't worry about whether things can be accomplished, you must show your attitude, the determination to show bravery, positivity, and momentum, this is called high consciousness. It's the most important thing. Sun Kachang smiled, for Chen Yan, a young man from the countryside, he really likes it from the bottom of his heart. You kid, you've been suffering for over 6 months now. I heard that the house assigned to you by the Housing Management Department was converted from a foyer to a storefront. It's short and dilapidated, and there are no windows, so it's damp and can't be lived for a long time. Just because you haven't reported it to me, the leader, is it right not to appoint the department head as a cadre? Looking at Chen Yan's somewhat awkward expression, he continued, in the morning, I went to release the head of the Housing Management Department. He said that there was a vacant house in your yard, 1 wing room and 1 ear room, which were exactly the size required for the cadre's room allocation. You can go get the key later and register at the street office. Where are they outside now? It's good inside the steel rolling mill. You need to know the nearby houses, all belong to their steel rolling mill. The working class, now it's even more popular than government departments. Thank you, Chief. Chen Yan stood up and bowed again. After leaving the examination room, Chen Yan's smile remained unchanged. Becoming a regular employee is simply too easy for him. This is just a process. He didn't continue to stay here either, there are still 2 people outside waiting for the probation assessment. Chen Yan rushed straight to the nearby factory housing management department, it's more reliable for us to get the house as soon as possible. Sure enough, after Director Sun greeted me, his handling of the matter was straightforward and smooth sailing. You should know that although Director Sun is at the same level as the head of the housing management department, but he is the department head directly responsible to the leaders in the factory, that level is invisible. After Chen Yan signed directly, he successfully obtained the key to the room allocation and the room book, just go to the street to register and you can get a house. Listening to the closing bell outside at 12 o'clock, Chen Yan looked around without anyone, a palm-sized piece of beef appeared in his hand, then I just took a few bites and ate them directly, just headed straight to the cafeteria of the steel rolling mill. At this point, the horn of the steel rolling mill sounded, the familiar, oriental red, followed closely by, our workers have strength, amidst the exciting melody, several trucks were loaded with steel and parts from behind, driving towards the outside of the steel rolling mill. On the side, there were security officers carrying long guns watching as the truck drove by. As the bell rang, it's a long string of workers wearing blue uniforms. They were full of fighting spirit and walked towards the direction of the cafeteria. This is the spring of 1958, the 49 cities here are still quite different from the TV dramas that Chen Yan has watched. Chen Yan, look at the skill of taking things out of thin air, that's a traveler. But he has been living a good life since he traveled through this time. Chen Yan, originally from Qinjia village in Red Star Red Society, it's the Qinjia village where Qinhuai Ru left. Chen Yan was startled when he crossed over. Isn't it common for us travelers to be alone? What is this big family? There are 6 brothers at home who are just like Diamond. There is also an old father who serves as the village branch secretary of the Qin family. There are a lot of nephews at home. Although Chen Yan's predecessor was not in good health, but I have already graduated from vocational school. When Chen Yan entered the city and became a city resident, and after becoming a purchaser, the Chen family's position in Qinjia village has become increasingly elevated. It seems that in the future, it is not impossible for Qinjia village to be renamed Qinjia village. In 1958, in an era of vigorous development in our country. Although these 2 years have been a bit difficult, but because grain production is still increasing year by year, life can still go on. If it weren't for the terrifying natural disasters of the upcoming 3 years, so Chen Yan will definitely live a leisurely life in this era. But thinking about the situation where starving people were everywhere back then, Chen Yan still decided to become the god of food in this era, to live countless lives. Chapter 2. Opening of Portable Farm, Disaster Year Approaching. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Although Chen Yan's journey did not naturally bring about a system as exaggerated as others, or perhaps someone else brought their own 4 swords to fight against numerous beasts in the courtyard in the city of 49. Chen Yan's cheat is very simple. When he just woke up and lay on the bed in Qinjia village, he awakened his personal space. As soon as I opened the space, Chen Yan felt a warm current following him. Unconscious energy poured directly into his body. Chen Yan showed no signs of panic. He knew that this should be the necessary experience for the traveler. Washing tendons and cutting marrow. I used to travel through a somewhat weak body, full of power in an instant, an indescribable energy. Chen Yan involuntarily clenched his fist. At this moment, he just feels like he can directly penetrate a whole piece of steel. Later, Chen Yan realized that he had become a brand new space farm in his consciousness. I'm too familiar with this. Isn't this QQ farm? Chen Yan, with an excited mood, I started to widen my eyes and check my personal space. There are 6 different areas in the space. They are storage space, plantation, aquaculture farm, fishing ground, fruit tree forest farm, and processing workshop. Chen Yan tried the storage space. After putting it in, it will still maintain its original appearance. And each of the planting, breeding, fishing, and fruit tree farms covers an area of hundreds of acres. The total area is over 400 acres of land. The processing workshop can perform some processing. For example, rice is processed into rice by shelling, wheat is processed into flour, soybeans are processed into soybean oil, various livestock are slaughtered, and so on. Easy to operate, only requires conscious operation. All Chen Yan needs to do is collect seeds and livestock by himself. The farm will automatically harvest and sow seeds. He doesn't need to keep an eye on it at all. Chen Yan, who grew up in Qinjia village, naturally has many conveniences in rural areas, that is to be able to collect various seeds. Chen Yan's older brother and parents are very fond of the little one in this family. Since this serious illness, my family also takes great care of Chen Yan's demands. Upon hearing Chen Yan say that he wanted some seeds for crops, busy, I brought him many seeds. Wheat, rice, corn, sorghum, soybeans, cotton, rapeseed, peanuts, etc. There are also some vegetable seeds, cucumbers, watermelons, winter melons, cabbage and the like. Chen Yan's older brother Chen Li is already 30 years old, a muscular and powerful body. He is the captain of the militia in their Qinjia village. Looking at the Wenkuxing seed in my own home, Xiao Yan, you're going to work in the city now. Do you want me to find a wife for you in the next few days? You're the only one left in our Chen family who hasn't gotten married yet, he said directly. Chen Yan was startled. It's not that easy to transfer rural household registration to urban household registration now. Moreover, what he wants is a large forest, instead of 1 or 2 small saplings. But if you want to open an harem in this era, that's not an easy thing to do. Chen Yan still needs to plan for the long term. Alright, brother, why don't you go and train quickly? I will slowly consider this matter. Chen Yan quickly slipped back to his house in the countryside. After planting the seeds in the space one by one, then the space automatically takes over. Hint: Chen Yan can harvest in a day. Unfortunately, the number of seeds is not very large. Seeds are very precious in rural areas. Chen Yan cannot be allowed to squander freely. But as long as the space is here, it's not a big problem. Within 6 months, Chen Yan has been thinking about this booming era. What should I do to change the fate of many people? In his past life, Chen Yan was a steady character. We need to consider our own safety before we can study how to make this era better. Listening to the uplifting songs in my ear, Chen Yan walked into the worker canteen of the steel rolling mill with the flow of people. Chen Yan took out an aluminum lunchbox, 2 liang of food stamps, and 5 cents from his backpack. After arriving at the rice window, he said, 2 white noodles, 1 rapeseed tofu, and 1 shredded potato. At this point, a big face appeared in front of Chen Yan. The person in front of me is wearing a white chef's coat. A face looks like it's in its 40s, little eyes, guapi too. The skin looks incredibly rough. Seeing Chen Yan, he said happily, "Isn't this Chen Yan? Why did he return to the factory today?" Chen Yan smiled slightly. All the sharpness on his face was put away. Her fair and delicate face was full of humility. "Brother Zhu, I won't make any purchases today. Today is my probation assessment." The man in front of me, Pillar, Zhu, silly Pillar. From the courtyard where Chen Yan resides, number 95 Courtyard, Nanluoga Lane, there lived a yard full of birds and animals. Show the greed, jealousy, lust, food, laziness, anger, and pride in human nature to the fullest. In Chen Yan's past life, when he was in love with a courtyard house, I was very angry. How could these people be so shameless? But when he moved into the courtyard here by fate, he only realized how much joy this group of people would contribute to him. After all, there is a lack of entertainment facilities. We just need to find some fun. Upon hearing these words, silly Zhu, in an instant, the spoon in my hand paused. I just want to show off the chef's shaking spoon skill. Why did he regret making so many dishes for Chen Yan, a young man from the countryside? Then he tentatively asked, "Have you passed the assessment for Chen Yan?" Chen Yan said with a smile, "Pillar, please prepare all the dishes for me first. How can we say that there are over 100 people in our courtyard, and I am the only one who calls you Pillar. Even rainwater calls you silly brother. If you're willing to give me a spoonful, then I'll have to call you silly Pillar later on." Silly Zhu was exposed for his own little tricks, a little embarrassed on the face. Then he filled Chen Yansheng with a pot full of vegetables. Then he said, No, Chen Yan, you are the #1 vocational school graduate in our yard. How can you be like those bastards? So, you're becoming a regular. Chen Yan took the lunchbox. Nodding his head, he said, "I have become a full-time employee and now I am a level 7 clerk. Just like you, it costs 37 yuan and 51 yuan per month. I have also been allocated 2 rooms." Upon hearing this, the smile on silly Zhu's face was barely hanging on his face, his grandfather's. So to say, it's better to study. You see, I've been working in the kitchen for so long, only to earn a salary of 37.5 yuan. You've only been earning 37.5 yuan for 6 months now. It's really different. Still dividing the rooms, hey. This one breath has withstood the turmoil of our 4 or 9 cities for several lifetimes. Chen Yan, your house won't be in our yard, will it? Chen Yan chuckled and said, that's for sure. We'll be neighbors in the future. Didn't Uncle Lu send us to explore in northeast China? Those 2 rooms will be mine in the future. Upon hearing this, Silly Zhu's face was filled with envy and jealousy. He didn't expect this young man from the countryside to quickly establish himself in the courtyard. However, this house is not something that the Jia family has been thinking about for a long time. The Dongxiu family only has Dongxiu's urban household registration, and there are 5 members in the family. Now Jia's aunt, Qin's sister, and 2 children. Chen Yan, what you have done is a bit unfair. Watching Silly Zhu plead for justice, Chen Yan can only say that a poor person must have something to hate. This person may be full of hope that his Qin sister can share a room next to his house. At that time, Silly Zhu can move the bed to a place next to the Jia family, then listen to the movements of Jia Dongxiu and Qin Huiru at night, so he can also sleep peacefully. At this moment, Chen Yan looked at Silly Zhu's expression and became strange. Originally, Silly Zhu was not just a licking dog, still a pervert like a bull-headed person. Chen Yan chuckled, carrying a bowl, finishing the meal, washing the lunch box. I went straight to the procurement department office. Although Silly Zhu misses Qin Huiru in his heart, but now her man Jia Dongxiu is still alive, he couldn't have rushed up to get scolded either. I shrugged and took this matter to heart. There is no one in the procurement department, everyone has gone out to purchase. The coal in the house is burning heavily, you can feel comfortable as soon as you enter the house. This year is good, we can still purchase a lot of good things, even the leaders in a few departments are not present. Chen Yan was also happy and carefree, lying in the office. I slept until almost the end of the workday. Then I watched as the crowd wasn't surging yet, head straight to the parking shed. Riding on the bicycle assigned by the factory, he ran towards the street office. Chapter 3. Director Wang, you are confused. Seeking data. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The Red Star Steel Rolling Plant is located in the eastern part of 49 cities, it's outside Dongzhaimen. Red Star Steel Rolling Plant, originally, it belonged to the private property of Lu Banqing, a wealthy man from 49 cities. It was initially established during the period of warlord chaos in the Beiyang region, evolved from a small steel mill with dozens of people to one of the largest steel mills in the 49 cities during the liberation period. During the public-private partnership period, due to the provisional regulations on public-private joint industrial enterprises issued by the State Council, Lu Banqing donated the shares of the steel rolling mill to the country. From now on, the steel rolling mill was renamed as Red Star Steel Rolling Mill. Director Lu also became Director Lu. The current steel rolling mill has become a behemoth. There are 15,000 employees. There are over 8,000 workers in this department, and it has its own school, hospital. On the map, it looks like a medium-sized town. Passing through Dongzhaimen, heading west all the way, walk along a main road for 20 minutes to reach Nanluoga Lane. If you ride a bicycle, you can get there in 7 or 8 minutes. All the way, there were children running wildly, not to mention cars on the streets now. There aren't many buses, a few carriages are still leisurely advancing. There are some bicycles, but not much either. Riding a bicycle and carrying a liberation bag across the shoulder, Chen Yan naturally caught the attention of a large group of people. When Chen Yan felt the street, at this moment, the entrance looks relatively leisurely, not many people came in and out. Since the founding of the People's Republic of China, after the file requesting group defense policies was issued above, the street office has selected some highly respected individuals as the steward in each courtyard. Although it's just a collaborative management, but it actually has considerable power. Because the street is also unwilling to handle small things every day, so the street will also listen to their opinions. In the past 2 years, the actions of enemy agents have basically turned to the shadows. There is also the presence of a steward, so the work of the street office is still relatively easy. Both trivial matters and neighborhood disputes are resolved by the steward. and the streets mainly control some core tasks, for example, work arrangements, housing arrangements, marriage introductions, etc. Director Wang, I'm here. Today, the Housing Management Department assigned me a house in Yard 95, and I came to the street office to register. After Chen Yan entered, he went directly to Director Wang's office in the street office. Regarding the issue of housing allocation, that definitely requires the signature of the street office director. Director Wang looks in his early 40s, wearing a Zhongshan suit. The whole person looks very capable. Although just a street office director, that person is a department-level cadre. Seeing Chen Yan walking in, my clothes are very clean and tidy, the inner lining of the woolen collar is also clean and tidy, even the hair looks very pleasing to the eye. It's not the first time Chen Yan has been dealing with Director Wang. Previously, I helped purchase a batch of scarce items from the street. Chen Yan also brought some infant and toddler Melissa to Director Wang. This is a great favor. Director Wang looked at Chen Yan with appreciation in his eyes and said, Chen Yan, you're here. I remember you graduated this year and became a regular so quickly. Chen Yan took out the room book and certificate from the liberation package and said, Yes, Director Wang. Due to the arrangement of the leadership, I have already been promoted to a regular position in advance. This is the certificate provided by the unit, please take a look. Director Wang took over the room book and certificate, looked at them, and said with a smile, Yi Zhonghai from your courtyard has come several times with Jia Zhangclan. Wanting these 2 rooms has caused headaches for the clerks below. The Jia family has a non-agricultural household registration and is still a first-class worker, which definitely does not meet the policy requirements. Now that it's okay, we can share the house with you, and we also think it's much easier. Chen Yan watched as Director Wang took out the seal and stamped it on the room notebook, then wrote his own signature on the notebook, then he smiled and said, Xiao Chen, after you become a regular, you will need to help the street office with some things. It's time for procurement again soon, so you need to help Director Wang see if there are any good connections. Chen Yan nodded in response and said, That's necessary. I have no hesitation. Director Wang, there's one more thing I need to trouble you about. You know the people in our yard as well. Aunt Jia is causing a lot of trouble, and dividing this room will definitely be a big problem. Jia and Zhang will not let me go. Although I'm not afraid of anything, I still want the neighborhood relationship to be less tense. I have to go to the countryside to make purchases tomorrow and the day after, so I really don't have the time and energy to cause disputes. Could you please run around and talk to the Jia family? Looking at Chen Yan's clean and tidy face, Director Wang didn't particularly want to. If I were 20 years younger, it must be difficult to grasp seeing such a handsome young man. Then she glanced at the clock. With a smile, he said, Okay, I know you purchasers have worked hard going out and wading through mountains and rivers. It's almost time to finish work, so I'll just stop by and go home. Chen Yan was busy saying, Director Wang, thank you. Director Wang stood up and walked out. With a smile on his face, he said, Xiao Chen, you are 20 years old this year and have reached the legal age for marriage. Now that the house has been divided and you are also a cadre, should you consider your personal issues? Director Wang still has many good girls on hand. How about introducing one to you? Chen Yan smiled and said, Director Wang, thank you. It's just that I'm still young, so don't worry for now. Currently, the production tasks in the factory are too heavy, and I have to work hard to complete these 2 years. When I'm promoted, I'll ask Director Wang to introduce me. My conditions are better, so you can also introduce me when the time comes. How can Director Wang be like his own brother and father, start urging oneself to get married? Good, ambitious. You will also be a cadre in the future, and you cannot be too detached from the people. Xiao Chen, you can call me Aunt Wang in the future. Chen Yan naturally happily agreed, Okay, Aunt Wang. 2 people each rode a bicycle to the entrance of Courtyard 95. This quadrangle was said to have been a house where a prince raised his concubine outside during the braiding period. The floor of the house is much higher than the nearby courtyard houses. If placed before liberation, it would also be a very luxurious existence. But after so many years of wind and rain, at this time, only the mottled gate remained in the courtyard, the red paint on the side red door pillar is almost peeling off, the blue tiles on the roof are also about to be destroyed. After the two of them stopped their bicycles at the door, I saw a middle-aged man with a hunched body and a pair of glasses wrapped around his white footsteps standing at the door, looking at his shrewd expression. Isn't this Yan Bugue, the third master in charge of the courtyard? After arriving at the quadrangle, the person who cannot be avoided is the third steward, Yan Bugue, because he is the gatekeeper of a courtyard house. Proficient in calculation, ranked first, supported a family of 6 with a salary of 27.5 yuan, that's his only share. After seeing Director Wang and Chen Yan walk in, Yan Bugue quickly ran 2 steps, but this makes his small stature incredibly sleazy. Think about the tall and burly appearance of the third, and again, Chen Yan thought to himself, who is at home, who is up and who is down? Director Wang, how did you get here? Yan Bugue walked up to him and asked with a smile. Director Wang glanced at Yan Bugue. With a smile, he said, isn't it that Chen Yan has become a regular? He has been given a house in the factory, and I will bring it over to tell you. Yan Bugue is a shrewd person. At first glance, it was evident that this was the helper Chen Yan had brought in. He followed inside as he walked, looking at Chen Yan with envy. He said, Chen Yan is fine. Now he is the first cadre in our courtyard. Chen Yan doesn't believe that Yan Bugue has any good intentions. Although everyone here is not bad, but in terms of money, it has already reached the point of going crazy. Not even one's own children are spared. He doesn't like people who are petty about every detail. Chen Yan humbly said, what kind of cadre? I'm just a clerk. We are all serving the people. Our leaders and Aunt Wang have warned me that we cannot be proud. We must work hard to learn and make progress is the key. Director Wang smiled and nodded on the side. Chen Yan, this young man, is really getting better and better as he looks at him. Yan Bugue rolled his eyes. Chen Yan is not a good person. The front yard shop where he used to live, Yan Bugue has never taken any advantage of it. I haven't taken advantage of it before, but it's okay. Even Yan Bugue had his wool plucked. Chen Yan, who has a pure appearance, is simply not worthy of the title. So looking at Chen Yan with a smile on his face, and Director Wang, who was full of admiration, Yan Bugue only wanted to shout in his heart, Director Wang, you are confused. Chapter 4. Jia Zhang's troubles in the courtyard, with birds returning to their homes. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. What does Yan Bugue want to say? But looking at the look in Chen Yan's eyes, it's like holding back what I just wanted to say. Previously, Chen Yan was still an apprentice. I don't have that much confidence yet, but it's already difficult enough to deal with. Now Chen Yan has become a cadre position, isn't this even harder to deal with? And for the sake of that house, it has nothing to do with their family either. Why run and offend Chen Yan? Not worth it. Yan Bugue, who had made up his mind, squeezed out a smile on his thin old face and said, yes, Director Wang, you're right. Let's make progress together in the future. At this point, it is already the workers who have finished work. When students come home from school, the courtyard was bustling with activity. A few aunties at the door are washing vegetables, someone is still fetching water, a few children started playing and frolicking on the side. After Chen Yan received the key, I went straight to the west wing. There are a total of 2 wing rooms on the west side. The room is clean and tidy, there's nothing left for Chen Yan. But the combined area of these 2 rooms is not small, it needs to be around 60 square meters in total. At this point, a chubby woman saw the west wing room opened, hurriedly shouting and rushing over. Who asked you to open my house? Get out of here. Be careful, I'll chop you down. The chubby woman in front of me, he is just over 1.5 meters tall, but the weight needs to be over 200 pounds, with a face full of flesh and a fierce expression. I walked straight to the door. It was the deceased mage Jia Zhang from the courtyard house. This is an old widow in the hospital, her man Lao Jia died on duty at the steel rolling mill before, pulling his son Jia Dongshu to grow up. Now Jia Dongshu has married Qin Huiru, a village flower from Qinjia village, as his wife. He is also the most detestable and repulsive person in the courtyard house. What I am best at is troublemaking and pestering. Upon hearing this, Director Wang's face couldn't hold up any longer. What does your house mean? This is the house of the steel rolling mill. Jia Zhang, what are you doing in the yard? When Jia Zhang saw Director Wang here, trembling for a moment, but considering the importance of these two houses, still angry, he said, Director Wang, I didn't see you here. Didn't my family apply for this house? I have been looking for you several times with an old man. How can you give this house to someone else? This is a simple principle of, come first, come later. You, as a big leader, wouldn't you not know? Listening to Jia Zhang's words, Director Wang said calmly, your family does not comply with the regulations for housing allocation. This is the cadre's room directly allocated by the steel rolling mill to Chen Yan. What does it have to do with your family? At this point, Jia Zhang had already exploded with anger. These two houses, their Jia family has already made plans. When the time comes, let Dongshu take Qinhuira to live in a big house, let Banji and Xiaodang live in a small room. She, Jia Zhang, can comfortably retire alone in the Jia family's old house. Who knew that Chen Yan had run out and inserted a foot? The steel rolling mill cannot bully us civilians either. Our family of 5 now live in the same house, and you street office leaders don't know how to sympathize with our Jia family's orphaned and widowed mother. Chen Yan is just a farmer, still a sick seedling. I don't know which day he will die. Why should he be given a house? I don't agree, I will go sue him. Director Wang became angry and said, Jia Zhang, are you messing around with me here? Alright, Chen Yan, go call the staff of the street office now. Chen Yan is currently in a cadre position, but your Jia family has only one urban household registration. Okay, our street is not going well, right? I'll issue a certificate for you now to send you back to the countryside. You've been bullying Chen Yan like this in front of me. I don't know what to do when I leave. Our street can't keep people like you. Okay, Director Wang. I'll go call someone now. Chen Yan listened as Jia Zhang shouted at Director Wang, I just feel that Jia Zhang is really tired of living. It's okay to be arrogant in the courtyard on weekdays. Are you actually getting into a fight with the leaders of the street office now? You have a rural household registration, are you really not afraid of being sent to the countryside? Chen Yan agreed and walked out. At this moment, a handsome young woman stood up. Seeing her appear, the eyes of the men surrounded by each other were different. Some carry ridicule, some with appreciation, some are full of lust. I saw this woman, Qin Huiru, tied 2 ponytails, wearing a floral cotton jacket. A beautiful figure is undoubtedly revealed. Just taking a few steps, a pair of headlights flickered directly. Qin Huiru arrived in front of Director Wang, bowing repeatedly. Director Wang, my mother-in-law didn't mean that. She's really sorry. Director Wang is a tested cadre. What I dislike the most is this pitiful appearance. Just don't even take a glance at her. Qin Huiru felt angry in her heart, but I dare not say anything. Chen Yan, who was walking straight ahead, pulled him over. Chen Yan turned around. I saw Qin Hui looking pitifully at me. Hee, I want to occupy my house. Do you even match a white lotus that has not yet evolved successfully? Chen Yan shook off Qin Huiru, please show your respect. Then Chen Yan turned around and was about to leave. This scene saw Qin Huiru almost burst into a state of mind. When she was in Qinjia village, that's the village flower that everyone praises, the 6th brother of the Chen family also came to see him before, but I didn't even take it seriously. Now why doesn't Chen Yan give himself face? Seeing this scene, Director Wang felt relieved in his heart. Indeed, Chen Yan is a good child, this kind of fox-like woman, you should stay away. At this point, a group of workers wearing steel mill uniforms walked back from the front yard of the courtyard. The leader just heard what was said here. hurriedly stood up. He appears to face loyalty, with a smile like that of a good old man on his face, a middle-aged man with short hair. I haven't entered the yard yet, he said to Director Wang. Director Wang, just leave the matter in the yard to me to solve. If it can't be solved properly, you can ask me a question. Seeing someone coming, Chen Yan sneered at the corner of his mouth. The person who came here is the steward of the courtyard, Mr. 1, he is also a 7th-level fitter in the current steel rolling mill, Yi Zhonghai, who is known as the most prestigious in the quadrangle courtyard. Without a son or a daughter, the most important thing is to keep one's good reputation and find good people to care for him. Jia Dongxiu is the seat of retirement chosen by Yi Zhonghai, otherwise, he wouldn't have worked so hard to get a house. Beside him, the chef in the morning, Silly Zhu, was about to bring Chen Yan over. Just now he saw the moment when Chen Yan shook off Qin Huairu, he was filled with anger in his heart. Although it's Jia Dongxiu's wife, but Qin Huairu is his foolish goddess. Chen Yan dares to disrespect his goddess. He immediately exerted a surge of strength, let Chen Yan embarrass himself on the spot. On the other side, a younger-looking worker also looked at Chen Yan with a displeased expression, his face was covered in haze. This is Jia Dongxiu, the son of the Jia Zhang family, he is also Qin Huairu's husband. A horse-faced worker in the crowd glanced at so many Qin Huairu who immediately fell to the ground and pretended to be pitiful, then he gave Chen Yan a secret thumbs up. This is Su Damao, the real villain of the courtyard house. Chen Yan saw that silly pillar's face was not good, he just smiled and changed his hand into a crane shape, underhanded, he gave Silly Zhu a hard elbow, directly causing the silly pillar with a mischievous smile just now to freeze in place in an instant. He didn't expect Chen Yan, who looked thin and weak, to have such great strength, just make him feel tingling all over. Chen Yan stood aside, quietly watching this group of beasts. Isn't that all for now? All the birds in the courtyard are returning. Chapter 5. Criticizing the Jia and Zhang Clan, the Jia family is in chaos, seeking. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Seeing Jia Zhang shouting in front of Director Wang, in an instant, a middle-aged fat man next to Yi Zhonghai jumped out. Jia Zhang. What's wrong with you? How dare you make such a fuss in front of Director Wang? This is the leader of our street, and I think you're going to rebel. Looking at this chubby red-faced man with the appearance of being Director Wang's most loyal dog, Chen Yan burst into laughter. This is the second master in charge of the courtyard, Lu Haizhong, like Yi Zhonghai, he is now a level 7 worker. Watching the bangs pass over me, the steward, coming forward to reprimand Jia and Zhang. This Jia Zhang is the mother of her own disciple, even if you don't look at the monk's face, you should also look at the Buddha's face, this bangs don't give oneself face. Yi Zhonghai's face showed a hint of displeasure, what are you talking about, Lao Lu? My sister-in-law just hasn't read a book or seen much of the world. You're the second uncle, what are you arguing about with a woman? Then he turned his head to look at Jia Zhang, who was still jumping up and down in anger, and said, Sister-in-law, what are you doing? Have you forgotten Director Wang's care back then? If it weren't for Director Wang's concern, could you have successfully pulled Dong Su up? When Dong Shu got married, the street arranged a bicycle for you. What's wrong with you today? Apologize to Director Wang quickly. Yi Zhonghai is truly a steward who has been in the courtyard for 7 or 8 years, there is still a sense of propriety when dealing with things. Jia and Zhang are also horizontal things in their nest. At first glance, Yi Zhonghai was already hesitant, hurriedly, he also apologized and said, Director Wang, don't mind. I'm just a widow who can't read a single word. Director Wang, I remember all your kindness to our Jia family. Without your care, the courtyard wouldn't have donated so much to our Jia family in these years. Cough cough. Yi Zhonghai almost couldn't catch a breath, is this his mother something you can tell? The faces of the nearby neighbors also turned ugly. When the Jia family got married, they held a general meeting and donated a lot of money to the Jia family. Yi Zhonghai quickly led everyone to change the topic, old sister. Law, don't talk nonsense. Remember to come to Director Wang again for these small matters in the future. I will definitely not let him go, and I will hold a general meeting to criticize him. Chen Yan looked at Yi Zhonghai, the first hypocrite in the courtyard, with a smile on his face. I just find it very interesting. After fighting against birds and animals, it is indeed very interesting. The Bangs are the most official fan. Upon hearing Yi Zhonghai express his determination in front of the leaders, he doesn't care what he's saying. Yes, that's right. Whoever uses these small things in the yard to talk to Director Wang, let's hold a general meeting of the entire courtyard. Tonight, we'll have a fight against the Jia and Zhang families. Upon hearing this, a cheerful voice emerged from the crowd, especially for the bad guy Su Damao. He laughed out loud and said, "Grandpa and Grandpa are right. We must give Jia and Zhang a good fight." Upon hearing these words, Jia Zhang was so frightened that she trembled all over. Criticism: she once went to Dongxiamen to watch the street fight against hostile elements. She didn't dare to watch that scene for the second time at all. She quickly looked pitifully at Yi Zhonghai. Yi Zhonghai has no choice, who calls this the mother of her own retirement seed. He was just about to step forward and say something. I saw Director Wang frowning and saying, "What's really going on in your yard?" A group of people bullying Xiao Yan, a good student with excellent character and education. Today I'll put my words here. Comrade Chen Yan is now a formal level 7 clerk, in compliance with the housing allocation policy. These two houses belong to Chen Yan. If anyone is not convinced and wants to sue, then go sue. But I warn you, those who dare to cause trouble will not be spared by the streets and police stations. Director Wang glared angrily at Jia Zhang and Qin Huairu behind her. He said sternly, "It's not like talking." Jia Zhang heard Director Wang's words. "There's nothing I can do about the little nine in my heart." I had to stand dejected. Yi Zhonghai was also greatly shocked when he heard Director Wang's words. What benefits did Chen Yan give Director Wang? Surprisingly, Director Wang gave him the platform like this. He took a deep glance. This matter is not over yet. Then he apologized and said, "No, Director Wang, don't worry. Our courtyard house will definitely not cause trouble in the street, I assure you." Director Wang then looked at Chen Yan and said, "Take good care of the neighborhood relationship. If there is anything that cannot be solved, come to the street office and see me." Chen Yan smiled and said, "Okay, I'll listen to Aunt Wang." Director Wang smiled, "Turn around and leave." When a group of men in the yard escorted Director Wang outside the door, Su Damao looked at Chen Yan, squeezing his brows and eyes. He said, "Chen Yan, you're good." Yan Bugue then said, "That's right, Chen Yan is now a cadre position. We have the first one in the quadrangle courtyard, so we can't have two tables to celebrate." Watching Yan Bugue scheming, Chen Yan felt like cicadas chirping in the summer. It is extremely annoying. "Third master, that's not enough fun for you. The people in our yard know that I'm so poor. Why don't you lend me 20 yuan to set up two tables?" Upon hearing these words, Yan Bugue immediately stopped talking. Lend money to someone. His old Yan family doesn't have this tradition. What are you saying, Chen Yan? The third master is just joking. The Bangs on the side are all sour. The rural boy who used to be invisible now has become a cadre, but he is a grand and old-fashioned person from the 4 or 9 cities, 7-level forging worker. I haven't even been a group leader until now. God is unfair. Chen Yan is different now. He's a cadre now. Then Lu Haizhong began to stare at his 3 children next to him. How come my son is not so awesome? Yan Bugue's heart was also congested. My eldest son Yan Jicheng, not to mention vocational school. I haven't even been admitted to high school now. Where should I look for work in the future? In an instant, Yan Bugue's heart was also congested watching both masters lose their firepower. Yi Zhonghai pondered that it was necessary to establish the authority of a steward at this time. Alright, stop talking. After dinner, go to the middle courtyard. Let's have a whole courtyard meeting. Jia Dongshu glanced at Chen Yan with a displeased expression. hummed twice. The silly pillar who was elbow hit just now is also, these two people have united as enemies. Chen Yan still had a smile on his face, very friendly. Chen Yan first returned to the front yard and tidied up his things. The room is very simple. There is only one bed and one table. Chen Yan has never fired a gun here either. Many of his things have been stuffed into the space. How could it be left here for these beasts to see? At this point, Yan Bugue, the third master who was just scolded by Chen Yan, has returned. He poked his head and looked in. Chen Yan, your life has been too difficult. If you've been here for so long, why don't you even have a decent piece of furniture? If you were to work as an intern at a steel mill, your salary wouldn't be low either. What about your money? Yan Bugue looked at Chen Yan with the eyes of a spendthrift. His salary of 27.5 yuan has supported the whole family. Beside Yan Bugue stood a tall woman. There is also a young man aged 14 or 15. The two of them looked at Chen Yan's empty home. I can't help but feel a bit disappointed. Their Yan family's rigorous family tradition make them completely disdainful of Chen Yan's behavior. Chen Yan is not angry either. With a smile, he said, "Third master, I'm a rural child. How can I compare to you city dwellers? I still need to send money to my family. Without you, Mr. San, you have been careful and calculating, so you won't be able to save money. Why don't you lend me 50 and I'll tidy up the house?" Yan Bugue was so frightened that he quickly took a step back. No, your third master is not rich. Let's go home and have dinner. Yan Bugue originally wanted to see if Chen Yan had any furniture. He can pick a bargain. But who knew this kid came to borrow money again? What a shame. Chen Yan is not disappointed if he cannot borrow money. After a chuckle, he picked up his belongings. Actually, there wasn't much to walk towards the courtyard. Then he dismantled the coal-burning furnace, even if the move is completed. There are quite a few people watching the excitement in the courtyard. Many people are jealous. Why did Chen Yan come from a rural area? Just because I got into a vocational school. Their indigenous people from the 4 or 9 cities don't like these things. There is not a single person who came forward to help Chen Yan, but for a while, they all became more satisfied. What about cadre positions? It's not even comparable to the days of these workers. With Chen Yan's limited family background, I'm afraid even a daughter-in-law won't get married in the future. At this moment, Jia Zhang was sitting at the entrance of Jia's house in the middle courtyard. Watching Chen Yan move his belongings into the home that should have belonged to their Jia family, I just feel that looking at Chen Yan is filled with anger. He kept cursing incessantly in his mouth. What kind of short-lived ghost? The native turtle talks energetically. At this moment, I don't know where a stone flew in, heading straight towards Jia Zhang's chubby old face. With a snap, the stone flew directly into Jia Zhang's stomach. This startled Jia Zhangshi, quickly lying on the ground and vomiting. But how can this stone flying into the stomach be vomited out? Moment the Jia family suddenly became a mess. Chapter 6. Chen Yan's focus on Yi Zhonghai's moral heavenly sovereign. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Yan stepped on the mud pit under his feet. This precise attack must have been carried out by our navigator Chen Yan. Let this fat old lady make a fuss for another 2 days. If you keep tinkering, you'll just suffer. Chen Yan smiled and installed the dismantled stove, then it got into a fire pit. The current 4 or 9 cities are not warm. If we don't install a fire pit, that's even colder than cold ice. Later, Chen Yan lit the stove, another basin of water was added and it started to boil. Although there are all these things in his space, but Chen Yan must even keep a low profile in this era. The mass line is our principle. Chen Yan's handsome appearance and meticulous and steady way of doing things, let the women in the courtyard watch it as a feast for the eyes. Except for the Jia family, even if others are a little jealous, it cannot be considered malicious. But after a while, from the tightly closed door of Chen Yan's house, a strong aroma of meat wafted out. This made the courtyard, which had just calmed down, boil again in an instant. Grandma, I want to eat meat. This year's 6-year-old baseball meme looks chubby and white, wearing clean and stylish clothes. It doesn't quite match the children of the workers in the courtyard. Instead, it looks like a child growing up in a courtyard. At this point, Jia Zhang had already eaten several large steamed buns in a row, but I already feel like I'm not satisfied. Her already fierce face has become even more fierce than before. She looked at the house that should have belonged to her Jia family, then he gritted his teeth and cursed, "Animal. Chen Yan is just a little animal. I don't even know how to give my family a bowl of stick memes while eating meat. Damn it." At this moment, in the room, Chen Yan brought out the braised pork belly prepared in the pot, then he carefully put the 2 smallest pieces of braised pork belly aside. Then there was the rice. I took out some vegetables from the space and placed them on the rice. Today, we will become regular employees. How can you eat a bowl of braised pork belly too much? After eating and drinking enough, Chen Yan sneered, "A group of dog shit beasts also want to take advantage of me. Just make you guys drool today." Chen Yan directly opened the window. At this moment, it is a time of cold weather, a hot air filled with the aroma of meat surged out. In this moment, the garden is filled with fragrance. Now, the sound of cursing in the courtyard began to flow incessantly. Chen Yan, this kid, how could it be like this? Although there hasn't been a major disaster year yet, but ordinary people don't have the chance to eat meat. A city household registration only costs half a pound of meat in 1 month. Everyone is reluctant to eat meat. They are all sold in exchange for coarse grains. This stick noodles are usually reluctant to be eaten by everyone, eat at most some combination noodles. After a while, Chen Yan put the already soft and rotten noodles and 2 slightly invisible braised pork belly into the lunchbox, then he took out a common rural nest from his personal space and walked out. When passing by the Jia family, Chen Yan paused for a moment. Looking at the Jia family in the house, their aura was so low that it was almost suffocating. He only felt comfortable and happy all over. Qin Huairu is currently tidying up the table and dishes. Seeing Chen Yan feeling a little annoyed, no man has ever been so indifferent to her, Qin Huairu. But how could Chen Yan look so beautiful? He knows he did something wrong and wants to come and apologize to our Jia family with a lunchbox. Jia Zhang was also excited at this moment. Busy, he stood up. "Chen Yan, are you here to bring meat to our Jia family? Let's put it away quickly." At this moment, her saliva was almost flowing out. Braised pork in brown sauce, so much meat, of course, only the Jia family can eat it. "No, let's see if your Jia family has any meals. This meat is fragrant, why don't you eat 2 more steamed buns?" Then Chen Yan turned around and left. In an instant, the popularity of the Jia family exploded. Jia Zhang was just about to speak up and burst out. I saw that Chen Yan's face, which had just smiled, was already frosty. I don't know why, Jia Zhang's obese body felt a hint of coldness. The dirty words I was about to curse earlier unconsciously choked back. Seeing this scene, Qin Huairu became a bit curious. This man, who used to be known as the 6th seedling of Qinjia village, how did the person who claimed to be a hindrance to the 6 great kings of the Chen family become what they are now? Moreover, this bad appearance is indeed quite attractive. Thinking of Jia Dongshu in his homesickness, without comparison, there is no harm. Chen Yan was already a cadre at the age of 20, and her man has been in the factory for 6 years and is still a first-class worker. This made Qin Huairu feel a bit depressed in her heart. The look in Chen Yan's eyes also added a few more complexities. When we reached the courtyard, I saw silly Zhu cooking for his sister He rainwater. Although the foolish pillar now has Qin Huairu in his heart, but Jia Dongshu hasn't died yet. I haven't even reached the point where I bring food to the Jia family every day, so He rainwater's life is pretty good. "Oh, Chen Yan, are you good at your craft? You've put in enough ingredients. Look at your shabby house, are you prepared for the future?" Silly Zhu is holding a grudge against Chen Yan for giving him an elbow just now. He didn't expect Chen Yan, who looked thin and weak, to have such great strength. Now for a while, silly Pillar is hiding evil intentions. He wants Chen Yan, a notorious extravagant and wasteful person, to know. If you ruin your reputation, in the future, Chen Yan will be alone. In this moment, there are many people in the courtyard. Everyone heard silly Zhu's loud voice. I thought Chen Yan was eating in the yard with a lunchbox. Now Yi Zhonghai has become interested. Criticizing Chen Yan has now become a thorn in his heart. Yi Zhonghai sternly scolded, Chen Yan, look how much the Pillar cares about you and is urging you to live a good life. Even if you become a cadre now, we cannot let go of our simple and hard-working style. How can you indulge in extravagance? How can we build a country like you? But since you are so wealthy, you should also think more about how to help the neighbors in your yard. Chen Yan, people can't be so selfish. Moral heavenly sovereign Yi Zhonghai takes action. It is indeed extraordinary. Watching the neighbors around nod in agreement, Chen Yan could only sneer in his heart. Grandpa, you're right. We need to carry forward the style of hard work and simplicity in our daily lives. I'm just gnawing on the hwawawutu, it's pure coarse grain with no white flour at all. The Jia family has already gone crazy with anger. Today, the entire courtyard was the biggest embarrassment for the Jia family. Just now, Chen Yan came to their doorstep to wander around. Jia Dongshu thought that Chen Yan was coming to apologize. Who knows, this guy is angry with his mother. He stood on the steps and scolded loudly, Chen Yan, you're too shameless. You opened your eyes and said lies. The whole yard is filled with the fragrance you made. Jia Zhang also loudly said, that's right, Chen Yan, you still deserve to be a cadre with such moral qualities. You set things up in person and behind the scenes. You're not a good person. Didn't you hear what our uncle said? People can't be too selfish, you should share meat with everyone. Jia Zhang's gaze converged on the lunch box in Chen Yan's hand. This fragrance, even compared with the braised pork belly made by Sha Zhu, it's not much worse. Chen Yan looked back at Jia Zhang and said, that's the truth. It seems that you still understand something, Jia Zhang. Yan Bugue, who noticed from the front yard that there was a chance to take advantage, quickly came to the middle yard and said, Chen Yan, our two families used to be the best neighbors. I even talked to you earlier, did you forget? Chen Yan smiled and said, no, don't worry, third master. I am the most fair person, and I will definitely help you speak when I come back. Just as Yan Bugue was about to speak, he held back. What are you thinking? How could Chen Yan let the Jia family take advantage of him? Chen Yan smiled and said, you're right. A distant relative is better than a close neighbor. I need to unite around the masses. In theory, I shouldn't be stingy. I should treat all the men, women, and children in our hospital to a good meal. But I'm really poor these days, and everyone has seen that my family doesn't have any furniture. So, I need to clean up my house and gather a bowl of noodles for the old lady in our yard to taste. No matter when, no matter how poor you are, you cannot be poor for the elderly. You must respect the elderly. Madam, that's our ancestor in the yard. Even if I eat steamed buns every day, I would be happy. My motto in life is: we must respect the elderly, unite and love our neighbors, and not be too selfish. Upon hearing this, just now, Yi Zhonghai, who was proud of his moral kidnapping words, suddenly felt a sense of crisis. How could Chen Yan have set his sights on his moral position as the heavenly sovereign? P.S. The new book sets sail. Will adoptive fathers casually throw away some data? Chapter 7. The Great Moral Killer of Siheyuan. The Deaf Old Lady. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Silly Zhu watched this scene. I just feel a chill in my heart. Although everyone is here to educate Chen Yan, why did Chen Yan teach his group of people? But silly Zhu's head couldn't figure out how to refute him for a moment. I had to stand aside and curse Chen Yan in my heart. Jia Zhang, who was standing beside him, suddenly came to his senses. Chen Yan, if you're not so selfish. You can share the main house of this house with our family, he said with a twisted head. you see, this is a cadre position, and you can't lead by example. Everyone will have to praise you then. My 5 members are outside every day to promote your high character and integrity. Yan Bugui was a bit worried and said, Jia Zhang, stop talking nonsense. This matter was arranged by Director Wang. If you continue to make trouble, it will not affect the excellent evaluation of our courtyard house. In this era, the admiration for excellence and advancement is beyond the comprehension of future generations. Before both parties get married, I will go to the other person's yard to inquire. If we know that the other party is from the advanced courtyard, the matchmaker also had a light on his face. Not to mention that advanced courtyards not only have face, there is still an inner lining. After the year-end selection by this street office, we will distribute a considerable amount of rewards to each family. Upon hearing this, everyone got excited. If their selection of advanced candidates is delayed due to Jia Zhang's situation, that Jia family is the culprit in the courtyard. The Jia family went south with a bit of enthusiasm for a while, but at this moment, Chen Yan heard him say, "It's easy to discuss. Let me send the old lady a boxed lunch first. We're going to have a whole hospital meeting later. Let's discuss it in the yard." At this moment, the neighbors around were all excited. If the Jia family can, is it also possible for them at home? 2 houses, from now on, there is hope for our children to get married. The Jia family was even more excited and about to jump up. On Jia Zhang's chubby face, the mother dog's eyes widened. Chen Yan, this little beast, must be afraid. Today, our Jia family must bring back what belongs to us. But Yi Zhonghai and Yan Bugui, 2 shrewd guys, suddenly felt something was wrong. Chen Yan is the kind of person who will obediently hand over what he has in hand. This person is too bad. It doesn't even exist. Yi Zhonghai suddenly felt a hint of coolness in the east room of the backyard. Chen Yan knocked on the door. An elderly voice came from inside the house. "Who is it?" "Old lady, it's me. Chen Yan, I made a bowl of braised pork belly noodles for you today and sent it to you for a taste." Upon hearing these words, the deaf old lady immediately woke up and opened the door. "Chen Yan, would you be so kind to make braised pork belly for me?" Chen Yan nodded and said, "This is not because I just moved. Thinking that you are the ancestor of our courtyard house, I specially made a bowl of noodles for you." This deaf old lady is not a good thing. Chen Yan had already seen it clearly. "Have you ever made shoes for our soldiers?" He didn't believe it even if it killed him. It is possible for military dependence, but it should be from the bald side. But this deaf old lady, but being sacrificed by Yi Zhonghai has become the first moral treasure of a quadrangle. This is about putting merit first. Once taken out, we must make these beasts tremble with fear. Chen Yan had already thought about it as soon as he entered the yard. How could such a useful old lady let Yi Zhonghai use it? This is a good thing to show filial piety to the elderly. We need to keep a high profile. Isn't it just a piece of unwanted fat? These 2 pieces of noodles are so unpleasant to eat. Chen Yan doesn't want to touch it. Chen Yan doesn't need a deaf old lady to treat him well either. He only needs this matter to be promoted. Take a look, Chen Yan, a new employee in cadre in the procurement department of the steel rolling mill. Eat your own steamed buns, send meat noodles to the lonely old lady in my yard. This image, instantly getting tall. Yi Zhonghai has been helping the old lady for several years. This deaf old lady is not someone who remembers kindness. The deaf old lady naturally did not know Chen Yan's careful thinking. Having a mouthful of noodles with broth is not an easy thing nowadays. She squinted her eyes and said, "Chen Yan, how are you? But next time, give me a few more pieces of meat. This is not enough to eat." Chen Yan smiled and said, "Don't worry, the old lady. After I solve these troublesome things, Gao Gao will make you something delicious." This old lady doesn't answer either, continue to pretend to be deaf and mute while eating noodles. Zhongyuan, Lao Yi's family. Yi Zhonghai is having a gloomy face. he has been choosing Jia Dongshu as his retirement seed for several years. This is the first time in the past 2 years that Jia Dongshu has been begging himself to do something. We need to take down this house. Who knew that Chen Yan had inserted a foot horizontally? I took the house directly. A middle-aged woman asked curiously, why did Chen Yan become a cadre? He's still the first one in our yard. With so many brothers in this family, his parents don't have to worry about having someone to support him. Would it be better if we choose him as the seed of retirement? Yi Zhonghai snorted coldly. Just going to participate in the assessment for Chen Yan himself without consulting with me, and even hiring Director Wang as a backup, you can see that he is not a good person. This kid is definitely something worse than Su Damao, even if it's a moral kidnapping. Aunt Yi is a bit puzzled. Isn't that enough? I think Chen Yan respects people quite a bit on a daily basis. Hee, this kid just looks at me sideways. Do you really think I can't tell? He just looks down on me, the steward. Yi Zhonghai had already angrily patted the table. Previously, I called on the entire hospital to donate money to the Jia family, but he refused to contribute. I don't even know what this kid thinks. Helping those impoverished households and those who don't have jobs at home won't help the Jia family. What's going on? I don't like my disciple Yi Zhonghai and want to provoke relationships with my neighbors in the yard. Upon hearing this, the elderly woman felt a bit hesitant to speak. Although she is more independent at home, but big things are still handled by Yi Zhonghai. When Yi Zhonghai selected Jia Dongshu as the seed for retirement, the deaf old lady said that Jia Dongshu is not a good person, only silly pillars are the perfect match for their Yi family's elderly care. But Yi Zhonghai resolutely chose to believe in his own judgment. This Jia family, one eats more than the other, how could you be too embarrassed to ask the entire hospital to donate? Aunt Yi has also mentioned Yi Zhonghai several times, but Yi Zhonghai turned a deaf ear. She was too lazy to say anything more. Watching my spouse disagree with my appearance, Yi Zhonghai felt annoyed all over. Why is this bastard Chen Yan not just helping the Jia family? He's just hitting a rock in the well, stabbing a knife in the back. When the wealthy family in the entire courtyard donated money to the Jia family before, Chen Yan's failure to agree to the donation almost caused the entire conference of the hospital to fail. Jia Zhang's anger was uncontrollable, start cursing directly in the yard. Chen Yan grinned on the surface. Actually, it's a belly full of bad water. On his way back from work with Jia Dongshu, Chen Yan bluntly stopped the two of them. They said they wanted to borrow some money to spend money. Yi Zhonghai originally thought Chen Yan was crazy. Why does he, a kid from the countryside, borrow money from his own steward? But Chen Yan only said a few words to Jia Dongshu about the third waste station in Dongqing. In an instant, Jia Dongshu, who was angry just now, was sweating profusely. Yi Zhonghai immediately understood. My apprentice must have sold some scraps from the factory to a scrap station. Is this something big? Yi Zhonghai is going to become the second 8th level worker in the fitter workshop in the future. And everyone is neighbors. Can't you see the Jia family of 5 working so hard? Use some unused scraps to subsidize the Jia family. What's the problem with this? But Chen Yan bluntly said that stealing public property, that's a crime. It will be sentenced. The cost of purchasing on my own is too high. As a last resort, Yi Zhonghai had to give Chen Yan 10 big reunion cards. I still have to rely on Jia Dongshu to provide me with retirement. If sent to the police, how can Dongshu become his retirement seed in the future? Chen Yan is quite excessive. I secretly sent a promissory note to Yi Zhonghai at night. The writing is quite good, but this repayment date of 30 years directly makes Yi Zhonghai people numb. 30 years, can Yi Zhonghai live for 30 years? When Yi Zhonghai received the IOU, my whole hand was trembling. From now on, Yi Zhonghai recognized it. Chen Yan, this person, absolutely not a good person. It's something worse than Su Damao. Yi Zhonghai secretly swore in his heart, we must drive him out of the courtyard. But this young man is very smooth. In all these 6 months, I haven't been caught by him once. Damn Chen Yan, don't be a person. P.S. Thank you to my adoptive father for giving me the monthly pass. It's so surprising. Wishing father a prosperous life every day and becoming the groom every day. Can other adoptive fathers cast some free flowers and evaluation votes? Chapter 8 Yi Zhonghai. Chen Yan, you are not a good person. You are listening at novel full.audio. At this time, in the courtyard, because Chen Yan said that when discussing this house at the evening general meeting, every household has come with a different kind of careful thinking. Yan Bugui's family, the three aunties who just took advantage of the situation and didn't get it now have a heart-pounding expression on their faces. As the head of the family, you are the third master in the yard. Isn't that much higher than the Jia family's position? If Chen Yan really lets out a house, will our family bring back a house for the child? Yan Bugui chuckled. The Jia family's plan has fallen on Chen Yan's head. It can be considered as really looking for trouble. Lao Yi also lost his sense of propriety in his retirement and went with the Jia family to cause trouble. What is he now? He's a cadre position. Although he's just a clerk, maybe this kid will be a leader in the future. The Jia family is just having a problem. When they first moved in, Qin Huiru said that this was from their Qin family village, but the Jia family looked down on him and slandered Chen Yan everywhere, saying that he was a short-lived ghost. Yan Bugui is a shrewd person. He had already noticed that Chen Yan was not easy to calculate. It's not a big deal. Will Chen Yan let go of things like houses? And Director Wang of this street office, it's just a hurdle to overcome. He, Yan Bugui, won't go begging for trouble. Come on, his mother, don't think about it. It's not worth going back to Chen Yan's home again. Sandama still listens very much to Yan Bugui's words at home. Upon hearing Yan Bugui's rejection, I could only nod and give up. In the evening, every household has finished their dinner. It's already getting a bit dark. About 30 households in the courtyard, with over 100 people carrying small benches and chairs, entered the courtyard. At this moment, there is a square table in the middle of the yard. Yi Zhonghai sat in the main seat, Lu Hai and Yan Bugui sat on both sides. Yi Zhonghai held a ceramic cup in his hand, with the words, "Advanced Employee of the Steel Rolling Plant," printed on it, but it seems that this cup has a long history. Chen Yan looked at the appearance of Yi Zhonghai's precious cup. I know how much this person values this honor. However, since Yi Zhonghai brought Jia Dongshu as his disciple, the honors and advancements in the workshop have already been said goodbye to Yi Zhonghai. At this moment, Silly Zhu saw Chen Yan walking out. Chen Yan, why don't you remember the old lady? That braised pork belly is for nothing. Silly Zhu knows very well who the old lady is. The old lady only felt sorry for him as a foolish pillar. Chen Yan, who comes from the countryside, also wants to please the old lady. Dream it. Chen Yan put on a bitter smile and said, "Isn't that just showing filial piety to my elders? There's no such idea as Zhu Zhu." Su Damao smiled and said, "Chen Yan, I'll tell you. I'm the only good person in our yard, don't you believe me?" As soon as Silly Zhu heard this, he became unhappy. "What are you talking about? Dare you say that the old man and the old lady are not good people? Haven't they beaten you for a long time?" After speaking, he stood up and went to beat Su Damao not far away. Su Damao gave a cut. With a disdainful tone, he said, "Silly pillar, why are you so fierce? You're the only one in the entire yard." Stupid pillar got angry. The embarrassing incident in front of Qin Huiru today still haunts him. Qin Jia watched from the side for a moment. He must show his masculinity as a fool. Before Silly Zhu could punch over, Su Damao had already shrunk his head and dodged backwards, and then one didn't pay attention, the whole person fell to the ground. My nose hit the ground directly. Amidst Su Damao's screams, the Su family couldn't sit still in an instant. Su Damao's father, Su Fugui, had a face full of anger and was about to stand up and find trouble for Silly Zhu, but how could Yi Zhonghai let Silly Zhu suffer losses? "Alright, silly pillar. What a big person you are. You're still messing around with Damao. Everyone knows it's okay, those who don't think you're enemies. Oh, don't just play around with Su Damao. Aren't you and Chen Yan good neighbors? Let's play with Chen Yan more. Otherwise, others will think you're bullying Su Damao. Listening to Yi Zhonghai's malicious words, Silly Zhu also looked at Chen Yan. He is currently holding back his anger and wants to teach Chen Yan a lesson. After showing a smile that made the little daughter law in the yard blush, Chen Yan said, I don't mind playing with the pillars, but those brothers at home are not good. I have been weak since I was young, and my brothers at home have been very protective. If I accidentally cause trouble, I'm afraid some of my brothers will come to find something. You can ask Qin Huairu. I was beaten before, and my brother surrounded me and knocked out his teeth. Let's put the ugly words first, I can't do anything to stir up this matter. A group of old men in the yard looked at Qin Huairu, who came out of the Qin family village with suspicion. Qin Huairu couldn't help but nod. In Qinjia village, you can argue with a few brothers from the Chen family, but if I touch Chen Yan, a few brothers from the Chen family will let you know what brother's iron fist is. Upon hearing these words, Silly Zhu immediately hesitated. He is also a bully who fears the hard. When I thought about Chen Yan's family having so many older brothers, I immediately hesitated. Yi Zhonghai's mouth twitched twice. He is also planning to let Silly Zhu teach Chen Yan a lesson. This plan has fallen through again. Chen Yan, your family can't afford to play around here. It's not a big deal to have a little fun between neighbors and friends. Chen Yan shrugged and said, if you can't afford it, then you can't afford it. My dad has been telling me since I was young that fighting is not good, and it wouldn't be worth it if you hurt yourself with bumps and bruises. If this becomes a desperate situation, then my old Chen family will be extremely angry. You. Yi Zhonghai's face turned black in an instant. He thought Chen Yan was calling him a dead end. Chen Yan looked at Yi Zhonghai with a smile on his face. This is Yi Zhonghai, not to mention the issue of elderly care, he is still considered a normal person. When it comes to elderly care, it's like going crazy, I can't pull it back no matter what. And although Yi Zhonghai is not yet an 8th level worker in the factory, but level 7 workers are also the pinnacle of senior workers. In the courtyard, he is also a steward. Over the years, I have become accustomed to taking control of things in the yard. So when I saw Chen Yan, who didn't follow his instructions, Chen Yan has become a thorn in Yi Zhonghai's side and a thorn in his flesh. Make him your own retirement seed. But how could Chen Yan get used to this old household? It's not necessary to tear your face apart, save Silly Pillar, that's obviously unnecessary. Watching Silly Pillar be sucked, eating melon seeds on the side, isn't this fragrant? What kind of steward, Grandpa? It's just a co-manager, not even the establishment, just make fun of them. Chen Yan, how could you speak like that? What a despicable household, isn't this nonsense? Don't be angry, Mr. Yi. Chen Yan apologized to Mr. Yi quickly. Silly Zhu is not willing anymore, since his father He Daqing ran away. Yi Zhonghai, they take great care of their family. Seeing Yi Zhonghai's face turn black, we fools are naturally unable to sit still. Ah! I didn't say that. Mr. Yi is healthy and healthy. When I was in a vocational school, our teacher talked about it before. This gender issue is a matter of both sides. Think about it, if the seeds don't work, even if we are in black soil, we can't grow rice. Chen Yan. Yi Zhonghai slammed the table fiercely. I don't even care about my beloved cup anymore. What he hates the most is that some people say he is unemployed. I didn't expect that Chen Yan was not just talking about going bankrupt. Let's also say that Yi Zhonghai can't do it. If this matter spreads, what kind of face can he have in the workshop and courtyard? Upon hearing Chen Yan's words, the entire courtyard was filled with flowers. What is going out of business? It's not a big mom's problem. This is not a man. The words, an old man can't do it, began to spread wildly. Yi Zhonghai listened to these words. It has already exploded in place. Who knew? Chen Yan continued, don't be so happy, everyone. I have scientific evidence for this. In the past 2 years, not only have many traditional Chinese medicine practitioners been involved in our donation campaign, but also the Western medicine that is currently being promoted has a lot of evidence to prove that there are no children. About half of the reasons are due to the male partner. Speaking of which, the neighbors in the courtyard must agree with Chen Yan. There's no way, who says Chen Yan has the highest education level in the entire quadrangle, what he said cannot be refuted by anyone. Looking at the scene before me, the second uncle's bangs are going crazy with joy. P.S. Adoptive father, please ask for data. Please all adoptive fathers. Chapter 9. Second and third grandfathers surrender, Jia Zhang's clan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Who is the most official fan in the courtyard? That must be the second steward's bangs. Now he wants to praise Chen Yan crazily. You should know that the second uncle's greatest wish is to become a government official and a half position. For this reason, I have now become mesmerized. But the bangs are sighing every day. How come no one appreciates his talent and ambition in bangs? Why don't the leaders in these factories even appoint him as a team leader? In the courtyard, it's not easy for us in our bangs to become the second steward. There is also Yi Zhonghai above oneself. Although Lao Yi is of the same level as his own workers, but the image of Yi Zhonghai as a kind-hearted person has deeply penetrated people's hearts. At the same time, he is also more eloquent than himself. Every time something happens, Yi Zhonghai can speak eloquently, and I can only stutter and not know what to say. But even a pig in the bangs knows, now is a good opportunity. How can an incompetent man become the steward of a courtyard house? Amidst the mixed discussions around, Lu Haizhong spoke up and said, Old Yi, Chen Yan's family is a vocational school student. We need to believe in science. You need to investigate this matter. I don't think it's really just a big mom's problem after all these years, do you think? If I have wronged my aunt for so many years, as the second eldest in our yard, I can't bear it anymore. At this point, Yi Zhonghai was so angry that his entire face turned red. His two have already widened, on the brink of explosion. What he doesn't understand is why neither Jia Dongxiu nor Silly Zhu stands up to speak to him. How helpful I am to the Jia family. Chen Yan glanced at Yi Zhonghai. If this infuriates the hypocrite to death, how can the play continue to play? This hypocrite has accumulated a lot of money in his hands over the years. His family is a bankrupt. Jia Dongxiu is still a few years away from death. Even silly pillars are not worthy. It's better for Chen Yan, a virtuous person, to hold it. Chen Yan then said, don't misunderstand, this is even the man's problem. This is not because men are immoral, they are born out of wedlock. Now is a new era, and we need to face these problems with a scientific attitude. They have caused such consequences more for the progress of the country and society. These men are great and respected. I propose that we should applaud for us glorious workers' comrades. Upon hearing these words, Yi Zhonghai just thinks that Chen Yan needs to report his ID card. This person is really extremely cunning. He can no longer imagine it now, if this matter is not resolved today. Tomorrow, the whole courtyard, the entire steel rolling mill will go and talk about themselves, a grand master in charge of a quadrangle courtyard, a 7th-level fitter, a man who still needs to work as an 8th-level fitter in the future is not a good person. Yi Zhonghai suddenly had an idea and said, Chen Yan is right. We need to believe in science. I've decided to hang up a number with my aunt to check, so let's not discuss this matter for now. A hypocrite, he is truly a hypocrite. Speak up to everyone like this, go to the hospital again to obtain a fake certificate, who can refute this matter. But looking at the Su family father and son who sneered at Yi Zhonghai on the side, Chen Yan knows that this matter is definitely not finished. This Su family is the best dog in the courtyard. As long as there are bones, this father-son duo will rush forward with red eyes. All right. Don't talk about these messy things, everyone. It's time for the entire hospital meeting. The reason for holding this meeting today is that when we finished work at night, Director Wang from the street office got angry about the current situation in our yard. Why? It's because someone went to look for the street. Our courtyard house is an advanced courtyard house. How can we go to the street for everything? Is this trying to hold us back and delay our courtyard selection of advanced? Yi Zhonghai's resentment towards Chen Yan has reached its extreme point in his heart. He won't regain face for this matter today. Yi Zhonghai has been a master for so many years in vain. Listening to Yi Zhonghai's words, the people in the yard also became excited. Although they knew that the cause of the incident was due to the fat woman Jia Zhang. But Jia Zhang's is Jia Dongshu's mother, who doesn't know that Yi Zhonghai loves Jia Dongshu. Moreover, the authority of the hypocrite in the courtyard has not yet experienced any setbacks in recent years. Every month, I also pretend to help several families in need. This also made the hypocrite's speech directly resonate with most people. That's right, this matter won't be resolved in our yard. Looking for the street. I think some people just don't have the same heart as us. I think this shouldn't be in our yard. We should let him move out early. Chen Yan looked at these people with a smile. One by one, their faces were grim. If we say that this courtyard is full of villains, not at all. But those who can stay in this dilapidated courtyard, those are all human-like characters. Chen Yan, you need to carefully review your mistakes. The public will help you recognize your shortcomings and correct your attitude. Yi Zhonghai looked at Chen Yan's smile. The growing dissatisfaction in my heart. Now I am holding a general meeting of the entire institution. Are you still laughing? Chen Yan glanced at the hypocrite. With a smile, he said, yes, I feel guilty about this today. It's my problem not to stop Jia Zhang from causing trouble in front of Director Wang in the first place. Today Director Wang approached me and said that there is an old woman in our courtyard. I don't know who gave her the courage to break away from the masses and curse indiscriminately. Big guy is right. For someone like him who lacks quality, we just have to criticize him. Listening to Chen Yan's confusing words, Jia Zhang is completely foolish. It was clearly you, Chen Yan, who called the director of the street office. How could you be so shameless? The old fat woman suddenly felt a little confused. I don't know how to refute it. On the side, his son Jia Dongshu was very angry. Chen Yan, you're speechless. The person who brought Director Wang is clearly you, you little beast. Look at me and I won't spank you. Chen Yan glanced at Jia Dongshu jumping up and down. This listless appearance, no wonder he died so early. If I owe you so much, Chen Yan thinks it's better to let him die 2 more years earlier. This matter is very clear. Who alarmed our Director Wang? It's very clear. Let's go find Director Wang and ask for clarification now. Let's go with the 3 gentlemen too. This matter, you can't contact Director Wang. Who still can't understand, Director Wang is here today to give platform to Chen Yan. Finding Director Wang is not in vain. Even discerning people can see this matter. I increasingly feel that today's conference is different. Under normal circumstances, it's only our grandfather's duty to teach others a lesson. Today I can see Yi Zhonghai eating flat food. That's really a bit interesting. Listening to others shouting, Yi Zhonghai only felt heartbroken. If you want to block all the mouths of this group of people. Be quiet, everyone. He patted the cup in his hand hard again. Are you still an awakened quadrangle beast? This time, Yi Zhonghai really covered the aura. But as soon as it quieted down, I heard Chen Yan say, Grandpa, I know what Jia Zhang did and you're very angry. Although I am also very angry, Jia Zhang is a crude and shameless scoundrel, shameless, reckless, and even petty thieves in the courtyard. But after all, she is an old man. We must respect the elderly in our courtyard house. That's why I'm willing to take this dumb loss. As long as Jia Zhang no longer behaves recklessly and apologizes to me in the yard, we will pass this matter. Second and third masters, do you 2 gentlemen say that's the truth? A bit confused in the bangs, he didn't even understand the development of things in this moment. At that time, Chen Yan is now a cadre. Since we talked about his second uncle, that naturally respects him as the leader of the courtyard house. Yes, Chen Yan is right. He is truly a leader. He has a leadership aura. Area, hurry up and apologize to Director Chen. They are all being lenient towards you. At this moment, Yan Bugui had already burst out laughing. Chen Yan is really not something, can make Lao Yi suffer losses. I really didn't run away from this entire conference today. Yan Bugui also enjoyed watching Yi Zhonghai and the Jia family suffer losses, that's the truth. Today, Jia Zhang was shouting in front of Director Wang. Director Wang said he wants to drive Jia Zhang back to the countryside. If I had to tell him, he should have sent her back. Jia Zhang's popularity has gone crazy by now. I rushed straight towards the square table and wanted to beat up Yan Bugui. At this point, Lu Haizhong stood up and said, Jia Zhang, are you crazy? How dare you try to take action against the steward at the entire conference? That's enough. P.S. Thank you for the monthly pass from the adoptive father of desert populace Euphratica. Chapter 10. The dream of the Jia family comes to naught, and the scene is full of excitement. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. At this point, Yi Zhonghai is already in a state of anxiety, clearly and properly handling Chen Yan's criticism conference. Why is Jia Zhang causing trouble again? You need to find something at the general meeting of the entire institution. That second uncle must be so angry. Chen Yan sighed and said, hey, we've been practicing Marxism for 10 years now. How could such people still exist? They have no leadership. That's right, this old lady is really a shrew. Who gave him the courage? We must investigate carefully. Su Damao saw this angry attack on the Jia family, hurriedly and happily. Seeing Su Damao making a fuss, Silly Zhu swung his fist directly. Su Damao let out a scream and lay on the ground. The Su family's parents saw this scene and rushed forward to fight against Silly Zhu. That's enough. After Yi Zhonghai let out a furious shout, do you really want to go back to the countryside? If you continue to make trouble, I will report it to the street and send you back, scolded Jia Zhang, who was causing trouble with her bangs. Upon hearing this, Jia Zhang suddenly fell silent. Then Qin Huiru ran over all the way, quickly pulled Jia Zhang back, continuously apologizing to the two gentlemen. Later, Yi Zhonghai looked at the Silly Pillar and Su Damao's family who had already started fighting. Silly Pillar. Old Su. Stop it all for me. Yi Zhonghai is really going crazy today. Not only are the enemies cunning, and my teammates are as stupid as dogs. Yi Zhonghai breathed a sigh of relief, then he sat there expressionless. Today's incident tells us that neighbors must have friendship and support each other when encountering difficulties. Since we all live together, we are a family. In the future, we must forget about these things today and become a harmonious family. The moral heavenly sovereign Yi Zhonghai, it really lives up to its reputation. But there's no other way, people in this era just eat this one. Their simple values, it is something that our descendants cannot understand. Listening to the hypocrite speak, Silly Zhu quickly nodded. Grandpa is right, I will beat Su Damao a few less times in the future. Su Damao was furious when he heard these words, just rush up and fight against Silly Zhu, but he was held down by Su's father. His face looks very unattractive. Their old Su family has a lot to discuss about their family background. Even then and now, I dare not make any fuss. Watching my own son suffer losses, a burst of anger was burning in Su's heart. As the atmosphere became more harmonious than before, Jia Zhang immediately prepared to bring up his most important matter, want a house. But Chen Yan later said, now our society is in a state of rapid development. As a child from the countryside, I am very grateful to our party and country. As my workplace, the steel rolling mill takes great care of me and has given me a house. I feel very ashamed and feel that my contribution to society is too small. So I have decided to donate these 2 houses to the street, and I will continue to pay monthly rent to the street from now on. All the expenses will be used to support the third line project. In an instant, several pairs of Chen Yan's houses in the yard fell silent. The distribution of housing for cadres is different from theirs, it has a property ownership certificate. But Chen Yan went crazy right away. even if you want to donate your house to the street, why not? Now no one has anything extra to say, even Jia Zhang remained silent. She's not a big fool, I dare not seek death in front of such things. Faced with such a big flag, who dares to confront me? Yi Zhonghai has a heart to refute. Finally, I had to shrug my shoulders and close my mouth. I feel so frustrated in my heart. Okay. Comrade Chen Yan's spirit is very worth learning from. I praise this behavior on behalf of our courtyard house. Upon hearing these words, Lu Haizhong became energized. This must be highly praised by the street. Can't he, the second uncle who supports Chen Yan, show his face in front of Director Wang then? The Jia family cursed fiercely in their hearts. Chen Yan, a madman from the countryside, does he not know how precious the house is? Surprisingly donated to the street, why do you still pay rent every month? This big fool, an idiot from the countryside, just cut off their Jia family's dream of getting these two houses. Qin Huiru looked at Chen Yan's eyes, just like looking at a fool. Originally, she thought her little fellow villager was quite impressive, now it seems like he's just a brainless guy. The frustration in Yi Zhonghai's heart, don't mention it. Chen Yan, bad guys. The real villains among the masses. Chen Yan looked at the expressions of this group of beasts. My heart is filled with joy. House. It's going to be the year of residence soon. When the time comes, you can easily bring out some food by yourself. You can get the greatest benefit from those so-called Manchu remnants. I donated these two houses myself. It won't affect my own residence either. No big deal. Donate some money to the street every month. This good reputation is absolutely indispensable. As long as these things are spread, there are many reasons why future leaders want to promote themselves. A general meeting of the entire hospital, it can be considered as a dead end. Chen Yan looked at the gloomy Jia family and Yi Zhonghai. I just want to laugh at their group's shallow calculation. When he returns home, I was originally planning to take something out of my personal space and make a late-night snack. This battle of beasts can also be considered an interesting thing. At this moment, there was a knocking sound at the door. Chen Yan, I'm here to celebrate your move, said Su Dumao's duck voice. Chen Yan opened the door. I saw Su Dumao's horse face with a sense of joy. Although this guy is not a good person, but compared to those beasts, the scene is still passable. Chen Yan, you have a great housewarming day. Brother, there's nothing to give you. I brought a bottle of chiffon wine and some peanuts. Let's drink some together. Su Dumao stretched out his head and took a look. In this Chen Yan's room, besides the bedding, I'm not prepared for anything. There was a hint of surprise on the face. Is this Chen Yan really a kind-hearted and kind-hearted person? It doesn't exist. Su Dumao could tell from today's incident that Chen Yan is also too bad. Compared to their father and son, they are even more of a bad breed. Brother, you haven't even tidied up your house yet. I'll go get 2 stools first. Please wait a moment. Chen Yan originally planned to hand in the procurement task tomorrow and asked Director Wang to introduce someone to help repair the house. Although this requires showing selflessness, I still need to make myself feel more comfortable. Chen Yan shook his head. I opened the door slightly. Currently, heating can only be done with coal. The possibility of accidents is still very high. Chen Yan is going back to repair the house, install another dragon. Isn't it much more comfortable these days? At this point, Su Damao was already holding a round stool in one hand. Chen Yan, this housewarming is too busy. I'll get you 2 stools first. If you don't have to pay me back then, that's good. Su Damao is a person and a worker. Compared to the people in the courtyard, it is still much stronger. But this is such a small person. I will be on the surface and treat you well. I'll give you a tip-off letter behind the scenes. It can be seen from his report of his future father. In Law Lu's family, these things can only be considered basic operations for Su Damao. So, such people can be socialized, but we must never confide in each other. 2 people sitting on chairs, they each picked up their wine glasses. The taste of wine these days is quite good. Chen Yan takes a mouthful of baijiu. Then he walked into his own bag. Actually, I took out a small bag of beef jerky from the space. Su Damao was excited when he saw this thing. Beef is a rare thing. It has to be you. If you ask me, our purchaser is also a good position. Su Damao quickly brought it over and ate it together, another mouthful of baijiu. This taste, beautiful. With a sip of wine, Su Damao frowned and said, Chen Yan, you read a lot of books. That's all you're talking about today. The matter of the eunuch, cough cough cough, you understand. Chen Yan was somewhat speechless, saying that eunuch Yi Zhonghai, do you know that you will also be a bankrupt in the future? Puff, Damao, you're running around to come and drink with me for this. Su Damao chuckled, my parents are all urging me to ask about this matter. If it weren't for everyone's embarrassment, you would have been crowded. Everyone wants to know about the relationship between giving birth and men and women. Chen Yan took a sip of the wine. With a smile, he said, from a scientific perspective, whether or not a child can be born is determined by both men and women. It's best to have a check up before marriage. Su Damao said casually, then my old Su family must be in good health, so there's no need to mention it. I'll bring my wife back in a few days, and the whole yard will be amazed. Speaking of my new daughter. Law, Su Damao's face was filled with pride. Upon hearing these words, Chen Yan knew that the only good person in the courtyard, Lu Xiaoyi, had already been harmed by Su Damao, a scumbag. This grandson is really not something, it's better for him to become a eunuch in the future. P.S. My adoptive father, these are all big stamps with over 3,000 words, so there may be fewer updates. Can we help me point out the evaluation tickets and also help me break through the 1,000 flowers?